Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anna Ayubiojo and I'm so happy that you're here. So I wanted to let you all know about my book. This is awesome. It's so weird to see my face on a cover. From survival mode to greatness. So in this book I talk about my journey. I struggled with severe depression and PTSD, and God healed me and took me on an incredible journey. And I walked in my healing by going to therapy. So I talk a lot about sort of the practical and the faith aspect, because a lot of people are either, they'll go to therapy and things like that. For me, I know it was God that healed me. There's no question. It was God. And then there's other people that do the faith part and are like, there's a lot of misconceptions or a lot of stigmas, I should say, about, being a Christian, being a believer, and therapy. Like, oh, you shouldn't go to therapy or things of that nature. But the reality of it is that faith without works is dead. I had faith that God was going to heal me, and I walked like I had faith that he was going to heal me. So I did the work, and then, it was during that time that I obtained my master's degree in counseling. So I was also a therapist for a long period of time. Not that long, a few years. Until I became a clinical coach. So as a clinical coach, it's like therapy meets life coaching, kind of. I have the background of a therapist while providing coaching services. Well, that was what I was doing prior to moving to Atlanta, Georgia, which you can check out in my other video. So this book, God told me to share my story. He told me to share my story at the beginning of 2017. And I really didn't know what that meant. So I did a bunch of different things. Like, probably should have sought more direction, but I was like, okay, you want me to share my story, God? I'm just going. And I was obedient. And I shared my story with a small group of students. I was a torch scholar at Northeastern University. I called the director and I was like, I just want to share my story. And she was like, okay. So she got a group of students and I shared my story, and then I was like, okay, what else can I do? And God, by the way, was so faithful. Even with me stepping out on that, I can't even tell you like what he did with that. But whether I was supposed to do it that way or not, he blessed the fact that I was obedient. And then I know that God put on my heart to write a book, that I had to share my journey, that I had to share my story with other people, because the reality of it is there's so many people struggling in silence, because I did so for a long time. Like, I was that person smiling, cheering people up, the strong friend, and I never shared what I went through or was going through for fear, right? And shame. There's so much associated with mental health, right? That you didn't want to put your stuff out there, and you don't want to put your stuff out there. But the reality of it is that there's so many people struggling, and so I knew that I had to break down the stigma. We have to break down the stigma bit by bit, conversation by conversation, and this was my way. So I wrote this book actually in 2017. So in 2017, I wrote this book in a matter of probably 30 days. And then I got scared. I met with a publishing company, and it was actually the company I ended up publishing with, which is Lincross Publishing. And I looked at the prices. I didn't even ask them for payment plans. I didn't ask for anything. I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. First of all, the money. I was like, I don't have the money to do this. But then I got shook, right? I'm putting all of my stuff out there. And it just seemed overwhelming. So I put it down. I wrote the book in 30 days in 2017. Like, God downloaded these words to me in a matter of days, like literally the chapters, what he wanted me to write in 30 days. And then I was like, yeah, pause. There was a lot of things in 2017 that I was doing that I stopped doing. And I talk about that in my other video too. Again, life storms. And I'm like, I was never supposed to put the book down or the other things that I was doing. Yeah, I just wasn't supposed to. But, you know, God is faithful nonetheless. Then 2018, I went to the Pinky Promise Conference, and something sparked inside of me. Like, I could be that answer for someone. Like, I just want one person to know that God can heal you, that you can go to therapy, that you can talk about your stuff, that you can follow some of these things and you can be healed too. And I want you to know that you're not alone. If one person, by reading my book, one person, that's it. You know, and so something was sparked inside of me at the Pinky Promise Conference in 2018, where I was like determined. I was like, I'm walking in my purpose. I'm going to write this book. I'm going to do every single thing that God called me to do. And it wasn't like a little spark that was like, you know, after the conference was done. I was like, no, we're doing this. And so I started the publishing in 2018, summer of 2018, and it was completed in 2019. But, you know, I just wanted to talk about the journey even to do that. Like, we're called to do so many things and we get afraid. We look at what it looks like in the natural. We start looking at what we feel, what we're going through at the time. And there's a balance, right? There's some things that you need to take a break from. You need to separate yourself from. But having the wisdom to know which one to do at the moment, and having people, like, I'm huge on Village now because I didn't know how to utilize my Village. I thought people were out to get me. I didn't think people were genuine. And I didn't want to let people in. I had a lot of surface relationships. They were as genuine as I could provide in that moment, right? And I couldn't follow up with them, right? Like, I couldn't keep up with these relationships. Nevertheless, nonetheless, I wasn't even able to get what I needed out of a relationship and give what I needed to give in a relationship, right? Like, that reciprocal, I wasn't able to do that, you know? And so I'm huge on Village now. We were not created to be by ourselves. We were created to be in community, to do our best, to live in community, and kind of like a cycle. We pour into this community, and the community we're supposed to take from to be edified, and then edify the community. But we kind of live in just a bubble of our own, you know? And we think that we're kind of so busy grinding or, looking out for ourselves or carrying the residue of past relationships that we don't realize that, you know, there's some things that we got to work on. Like, what is it within me that's not allowing me to be in these relationships and really click? Some of us are faulting other people and not taking responsibility, which is a huge one. So what is it within you that's preventing you from reaching some of your goals? Like, where are you mentally and emotionally? What is it that you need in this season, mentally and emotionally? And I'm definitely going to do another video on wellness, well-rounded wellness, kind of mind, body, spirit, and soul. Like, what is it that you need in this season? And yeah, so I just wanted to encourage y'all, whatever it is that God has placed on your heart to do, identify where you are in this season, what's preventing you, what's blocking you, and find one or two people that, you know, that can help you in this season really get out of where you're from and going and help you go towards where you want to go and accomplish your goals. So if you haven't gotten my book already, it's on Amazon, y'all. Support your girl. Love you guys.